Today we are going to take a quick look at what property maintenance in Bulgaria potentially looks like. Hiya folks, welcome back to the show. If you're a regular to the channel, you'll know that I'm slightly obsessed with looking at how things are done in different countries and in hotels, a lot of the kind of maintenance ideas and things like that. Today I'm in a one-bedroom apartment in the beautiful town of Bansko in Bulgaria, and I figured I'd give you a full tour of this apartment from a property maintenance perspective to see, just out of a matter of interest, how do they do things over in this part of the world. I've been trying to kind of drill down as to how old this block is. Bansko and Bulgaria in general is a little bit weird when it comes to property because, as far as I'm aware by what I've been told, there was a big property boom around 2006, 2007, but then when the 2008 financial crisis kicked in, a lot of properties just kind of stopped being built and then they were finished off maybe 10 or 15 years later. So this apartment looks brand new, but apparently it was built around 2006 or thereabouts, possibly even older, but I think it's all been finished off quite recently because the kitchen looks literally brand new. Anyway, I'll take you from the front door and we'll have a look at literally everything and how it's put together, what would go through my mind if I had to maintain a property like this. Right, we'll start from the front door, and this is an apartment block. It's not a hotel. Parts of this block are a hotel and parts of it are an apartment block. It seems to be quite common as well in Bulgaria that apartment blocks where you would buy an apartment also include like spa facilities, swimming pool, maybe not for the full year. For example, here there's a swimming pool, but the swimming pool's only open over the winter season for whatever reason. Anyway, front door. So we've got a fairly beefy lock, full key card operation from the outside, although the key card isn't used on this particular lock. We are just using a manual key, but it does seem to be a kind of high security key. It's also got locking pins on the hinge side as well. So fairly decent security on the front door. Immediately above the front door, we have got the consumer unit. And obviously I'm not an electrician, so hopefully someone who knows more about Bulgarian electrics can explain this in the comments. But to me, it just looks like a bog standard split load consumer unit. It looks like we've got two 40 amp, I think it is, two 40 amp RCDs, and then it just looks split, MCBs on that side, MCBs on that side. Not entirely sure what that one is. Anyone who can speak Bulgarian, hopefully you can explain that in a bit more detail. I'm assuming the electric meter is in some sort of service cupboard somewhere because it's not anywhere in the apartment. In terms of services in general, this is just a little kind of access panel in the bathroom with a conveniently placed piece of toilet paper to open it. And in here we have got pretty much everything. You've got a ventilation duct on that side. We seem to have the soil stack with a rodding point there, and as you can see it's all insulated. And then we've also got the main incomer for the water, and the water meter is there as well. Gets pretty cold in this part of the world. It was around -10, -15 when we got here, -20 up on the mountain. So obviously everything is insulated to the nth degree inside there. Other stuff in the front hall, we have got the boiler. And yeah, everything is electric in this apartment, by the way. There's no gas at all. Everything's electric. We've got an electric hot water tank there, which just seems to be on permanently. Over on this wall, we've got the master switch for the hot water tank and for the towel rail in the bathroom. The towel rail in the bathroom would also appear to be on permanently with no thermostat on. I can't imagine what their electricity bills must be like. All of the connections for pretty much everything plumbing wise in here is your usual service valves that tee out of the wall, and then you just hook on with flexi hoses from there. So obviously we've got a cold incomer and then the hot water out. Hopefully you can see that it's a little bit dark under there. We've also got this slightly odd pipe coming off. That literally just drips into a bucket at the bottom and then gets emptied periodically. I've emptied it once so far, so it seems to fill up about a bucket a week by the looks of it. I think the cleaners must just empty that when they're cleaning the apartment. I'll show you the bathroom in a minute, we'll come back around to that. We've got a door intercom just to allow people in, because obviously, as I say, this is effectively a standalone apartment. Flooring wise, everything is tiled on this side, and then we'll go into laminate flooring in the living room again. I'll show you that shortly. Because everything's tiled on this side, there's no skirting boards. They're just using a little upstand. It just means why bother, you know, there's no need to have a joiner come in fitting skirting boards. All of the architraves and door liners, it all seems to be foil covered chipboard, I think, rather than MDF. It's hard to say without actually taking the architraves off. Does the job, but obviously if it gets dinged or anything, it's not the easiest of things to repair. Pretty much all the walls in this apartment as well are all either solid concrete or brick. You get a much better idea of how that side of things is constructed when you see all the half-built buildings. As you can see, some of them are pretty much completely just concrete shells, and some of them are largely brick-based. The insulation side of things is a little bit of a mystery. It looks like it's insulated from the outside, because certainly on the inside, all of these, that's plaster straight onto solid concrete or brick or whatever that is. So there's certainly no internal insulation going on, and there's no cavity wall. So I'm assuming it's an insulation layer on the outside that's then rendered over. Again, difficult to say because this is a finished block, but it looks like that's how it's been done in other similar apartments. So, of course, if you're not aware, Bansko is known for being probably one of the biggest ski resorts in Bulgaria. It's absolutely beautiful, but very busy around February time, which is when we're here. I'll quickly show you what all the fuss is about, and then we'll come back to looking at a few things here. So the town of Bansko is in southwest Bulgaria, not far from the borders of Serbia, Greece and North Macedonia. It lies at the foot of the stunning Pirin Mountains at around 925 metres above sea level. So the apartment I'm showing you is around here. There's then a very busy gondola to take you up to the base of the ski area, kind of around this area here. That's at a height of around 1600 metres. And from there you can get all the way up the Todorka mountain via an array of chairlifts. The lift you can see here is known as the Plateau and is taking us up to the highest point of 2,600 metres. It's not a difficult slope, but it can be quite intimidating if you're not good with heights. Anyway, Bansko is really a town of two halves. You've got the old town, which is genuinely stunning, and then a little higher up you've got the ski zone, which is much more commercial, full of busy bars and restaurants. I'll not do the full resort review because that's not really what this channel's about, but in a nutshell, don't visit for skiing in February, it's too busy with queues of up to 3 hours for the gondola. Expect a mixture of beautiful buildings and unfinished apartment blocks. If you're obsessed with health and safety, this isn't the town for you. Street food is generally amazing, these pizza wrap things, oh my god. Restaurant food is gorgeous and very reasonably priced, here's a picture of a menu. And if you avoid the peak holiday season, you can rent an entire apartment for 4 people for less than 250 quid a week. The place is stunning, we'll definitely be visiting again at some point. Anyway, if you want to know more, look up the amazing Bansko blog on all of the usual socials. If you're watching, Lance, we will definitely make a sustained effort to meet up next time. If you are seriously thinking of investing in property in Bansko and you want to know the lowdown of whether or not it's a good idea, let me know and I'll make a dedicated video for you and I'll pop it onto the member zone. I'll explain why we personally probably wouldn't buy a property here, but it really depends on your own personal circumstances, but I'll certainly be honest about the pros and cons. For now, let's get back to the apartment. Coming through into the living room, kind of living room, kitchen, bedroom type area, because this is a 1-bedroom apartment, so that's a pull-out sofa bed that turns into a double bed. Big space this. This is, I think it's about 60 square meters, this apartment, or thereabouts. The square meterage of apartments in Bulgaria includes shared areas, so it's not necessarily the floor area of the apartment itself. We do, unfortunately, by the looks of it, just have the cheapest laminate that you can possibly get. And obviously, since this is a ski apartment, people are going to be coming in with wet feet. and every time this is mopped and cleaned, water's going to be getting between the gaps, and you can already see, as I say, the apartment itself looks brand new, but you can see a certain amount of kind of bowing in the light just at the edges. This will probably just be non-moisture resistant MDF with the finished print over the top of it. And as I say, it's not particularly even. It looks fine, but longevity wise, I think I would have probably gone for something a bit more hard wearing than that, because that floor is probably going to need replaced in 5 years or thereabouts. As I say, lovely big room. That then leads out onto a balcony. I'll show you the balcony in a minute, but we've got views over the kind of courtyard of the apartment complex there. Venetian blinds on all of the windows, obviously double glazed, but again, considering how cold it gets here, I'm surprised we don't have triple glazing. I think if you had similar apartments in, for example, the Alps, it would be triple glazed as standard. Over the other side of the room, we've got the kitchen, and it is, as I say, it looks pretty much brand new. It's an IKEA kitchen. Literally everything in this apartment is IKEA. Every bit of furniture, every chair, every table, the sofa bed, it's all from the shop that shall not be named. Not particularly well fitted. There's a few things that I could pick up on here, but we've got an integrated fridge freezer, just a little fridge freezer there, with obviously an integrated oven above. We've got a single drawer for cutlery and stuff under that, all soft close, which is always nice. We've then got a little cupboard under the sink. The sink plumbing is all kind of bespoke IKEA stuff, which I generally don't fit IKEA kitchens. I'm not a massive fan of them. So I couldn't really tell you much about IKEA kitchen plumbing. Again, we've got the usual 90-degree service taps at the back there. We've got a connection for dishwasher and washing machine, because then along to here, we've got a little integrated dishwasher, and then we've got an integrated washing machine underneath the kind of, is it an induction hob? I'm not sure it's that good, to be honest, but anyway, we've got the washing machine under here. Fortunately, I'm not normally a big fan of integrated washing machines, because when you have the door attached onto the machine itself, it does tend to move around quite a lot. But here we've got the door is attached onto the cabinet, which is a much better way of doing things. The door is still not particularly straight, but at least when the washing machine's on, the door's not going to be moving around. And then we've got another little cupboard at the end here. You can see none of the cupboards line up with the end panels. I don't know if that's like an IKEA thing or what. So for example, here on this island pull-out unit here, you would really expect the front of that to be flush with the front of that end panel, but it's about 10 centimeters overhanging. I think what they should have done is brought this end panel forwards, and then on this side, put an end panel that ran all the way across, so you'd have the join here. I don't know, maybe it's just a weird IKEA thing where they don't make their end panels big enough. Any IKEA kitchen experts out there? No idea why it works like that. As I say, I think the oven is just an IKEA absolute cheapest of the cheap standard thing. We've then got a tiny little sink, no drainer unfortunately, but we do have the dishwasher obviously. And then as I say, we've got this electric hob over on this side, which we've never used, but that seems to just plug in behind the washing machine by the looks of it. Up at the top level, we've got a little extractor fan here with a light built into it, which is quite nice. And then in this cupboard here, you can actually see all of the gubbins for the extractor, which is an interesting way of doing things, but fair enough, it does the job, I suppose. So we've got a semi-rigid foil pipe coming off that. So there must be some sort of extraction duct running down this boxing here. In fact, I would dare say that this boxing here matches up to where the service duct is in the bathroom. So if you imagine on the other side of this wall, I would imagine that's where our neighbour's bathroom is. So that would be the same service duct that we've seen before, basically. And then we've just got a couple of other upper units there. I'll not show you them, they're not very exciting. Nothing seems to have been corked in, which is a little bit unusual. So we've got little gaps all around the units because obviously the walls aren't necessarily 100% straight. Added to that, none of the doors line up particularly well, and I think, is the plinth attached? The plinth is there, but it's not straight, so I'm not entirely sure what the plinth is attached onto. As I say, IKEA kitchens, and I'm not a massive fan of them. We've got a backsplash as opposed to tiling that goes all the way across the back. Lovely gold colour. I'm assuming that's IKEA as well. And again, avoiding any silicone or anything like that, we've got these kind of trim pieces that have rubber edges on. It's not particularly pretty, but I suppose in terms of maintenance, it's actually quite good. That's really, really easy to maintain. Not a lot else to show you in here. The little peninsula is obviously held onto that unit on that side. And then underneath here, we've got a big bracket going right across. So effectively it's 2 screws holding that up, but we're into solid concrete walls, so that ain't going anywhere. All of the doors, internal doors, are very, very lightweight. You can feel just opening and closing them. And interesting design that we've got going on here, where the outer side of the door has this lip on it, so that when it closes, it kind of overlaps the architrave. I'm assuming that's done as a kind of one-piece architrave and door frame set. As I say, the quality of it's not great. It feels very, very lightweight. We've got seals around these edges here. I don't think they're fire seals. By the looks of it, they just look like rubber seals. Hinges are interesting. These go into little adjusters here and there, and then we've got a screw, securing screw in the side there. Fairly bespoke lock hardware. So yeah, if something like that broke, good luck getting a replacement. But again, maybe that's fairly standard in Bulgaria, I'm not sure. Electric heaters, absolutely everywhere. As I say, they're just resistive heaters, so I dread to think what the electric bills are like. Lighting wise, they've done the typical kind of I don't really care thing of having a mix of cool light and warm light. It's one of my pet hates. Folks, honestly, unless you live in a doctor's surgery or you have kind of a medical need for living in a place with cool lights in your house, I think it's awful on the eyes at night. Unless it's like a work area or a garage or something like that, internally just stick to warm lights. Warm lights look so much better, and absolutely never mix cool and warm in the same room, because at night time when you've got all the lights on, it just looks ridiculous. And as I say, we've got warm, cool, warm, and then another cool light over there. It just looks crazy. We do have the usual kind of TV, FM connection, and we've got a telecoms connection here as well. That's just coming to a little Netgear copy Chinese import El Cheapo router over there. The internet speeds aren't great in here, so if you were thinking of like digital nomad type life, I'm assuming it's because they've just paid for the cheapest broadband connection that you can get. The 4G connection here is actually amazing. I'm getting about 80 meg over 4G, but I'm only getting 1 or 2 meg through the Wi-Fi in the actual apartment. Again, post down in the comments below, because I know nothing about Bulgarian internet. What sort of internet speeds can you get? Can you get fibre? Is that readily available? As I say, at home, I'm kind of used to now working off a 500 meg connection, especially for the sort of work that I do, where I'm heavily reliant on fast internet connections. So if you are thinking of kind of digital nomad type life, do look into what the options are for decent internet connectivity. Then through into the bedroom. In here, we've just got it set up with 2 single beds at the moment. This is our last day of the holiday, so everything's due to get kind of changed. And I'm gonna have to hurry up because the family are waiting for me downstairs at the moment. Again, single resistive heater in here. It does keep warm enough, so I don't know what they've done insulation wise in here. There's nothing else to report. All the shop that shall not be named for furniture, literally everything. The whole place is kitted out with furniture from there. Other than that, nothing to really write home about in here. Lovely big kind of French doors with access to a big balcony out there. Oh, I was going to show you the balcony on the living room side. It all kind of connects up. It's really nice, so it's worth having a quick look. Get some morning sun. And as I say, this just looks out to the kind of courtyard of the apartment block. In the summer, I would imagine this is absolutely stunning. I mean, it's stunning in the winter as well. Great big balcony though, but again, as you can see, the internal joinery and everything looks brand new, but you can just see from the finish on like all of the woodwork out here, that looks much older to me. That looks closer to the 20-odd-year-old that we were talking about before. We do also have fly screens included as standard, so whether or not that's a problem in the summer or they get mosquitoes or anything like that, I'm not entirely sure. Again, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, the doors all seem relatively standard, double glazed kind of French doors. Going through into the bathroom, we've got slightly unusual, very narrow door. We've got a fairly bog standard handle setup, same kind of design, doors with the lip on the edge. And obviously we've got a bathroom lock kind of latch thing as well. So I would imagine that's fairly bespoke to this actual unit, but yeah, it's a little bit stiff. Whether or not there's any kind of adjustment, like on the frame side around here, not really, not without filing it away. As I say, at the moment, it's just once you shut it, that doesn't really, you've got to really push it to lock that. So that's going to fail in time. So going through into the bathroom anyway, we've got, again, usual kind of plumbing fixtures and fittings. We've got a bog standard soil connection at the back there. We've got our usual T isolation valve for the incoming water supply for the toilet cistern. Fairly bog standard toilet, although I don't know if this is a European design thing or Bulgarian or what, but there seems to be the problem that the front of the toilet doesn't come out far enough. I don't know if you've noticed that kind of problem before. It's very kind of circular. So the problem is when you're sitting on it, for men that can be a little bit uncomfortable due to this part being too far that away. Much prefer toilets that just come out a little bit further at the front. Absolutely fully tiled from top to bottom. And one of the interesting things with the tiling, note the brown tiles on the floor and the kind of beige tiles on the wall. And we've got these kind of accent tiles that are running all the way around the bathroom. And these appear to be made from offcuts of floor tiles, which is kind of interesting because they've got sharp edges on them and a lot of them have slightly dodgy cuts to them. So they aren't bought like that. They have been made from offcuts of the floor tiles, which is a weird way of doing things. I don't know. Again, let me know in the comments below. It's quite a nice way of kind of splitting stuff up, but it's a lot of effort to go through to cut up all your floor tiles just to make a little pattern on the wall. Mentioned earlier, we've got the single towel rail in here, electric, and it is on permanently. There's no thermostat on it or anything. It's literally on full blast. I can't imagine how much power that's consuming, but hey, if that's the way they want to do it. Fixtures and fittings, I'm not sure what that is. That is a Vidimaya or Vidinia or something. I'm not familiar with that, but it seems decent enough kind of mixer tap. And in the shower, we've got my old favourite. Not only a grower shower valve, but it's exactly the same grower shower valve as the ones that we've just fitted in our renovation property. So really good, and once again, they've replaced the annoying plastic hose that comes with the grower shower. That doesn't seem to be a standard grower shower head on it. So yeah, decent shower valve, which is nice to see. The shower is raised up on a plinth, which will give you some access to the waste at the back there. It's just a plastic shower tray, but seems to do the job. These little quadrant showers, they're the bane of my life. They're not big enough to do anything. They're really, you've got the room in here to at least do a square shower rather than the curved ones, because these are really small. The other thing that's quite interesting is that we've got a wet room type layout in here. So we've got a drain in the middle, and presumably because of that, we've got this annoying little lip, this little step up into the bathroom. I'm not sure you would be allowed that building regs wise in the UK. I'm not 100%, again, let me know down in the comments, but we trip over that literally every day. But presumably that's something to do with this whole wet room arrangement. Bit of a weird way of doing things, but okay, whatever. We've got an extractor fan hooked on the lights, but there's no isolation switch for the extractor. So in the UK, you would have to have isolation for that. And the other thing that's a little bit weird as well, and oh, by the way, yeah, we've got the usual mix of cool LED and warm LED. That is, if that is even LED, I'm not entirely sure. But we've got a suspended ceiling in here. I haven't got any ladders, so I can't really get above it to see what's going on. But presumably, that'll make it easier to get access to the waste pipe from the shower and for the wet room floor for the apartment above. I'm not entirely sure why they've gone for a suspended ceiling. That's the only reason I can think is for easy access for maintenance. Other than that, nothing to report in here really. It's a very easy to maintain bathroom. I don't see anything in here that if this was, you know, if you've got basic DIY skills, if something broke, you should be able to fix it fairly easily. So folks, I hope you found that useful. If you're ever thinking of buying property in Bulgaria, there's some proper bargains to be had. I think my only qualm is that there's a lot of unfinished buildings, and that would make me a little bit nervous if I was a property investor, because at the point that all of those empty buildings do get finished, the market's going to be flooded with new properties. And obviously the other downside is until they are finished, you are surrounded by a lot of half-finished buildings, roads that aren't finished and all sorts of things like that. But as I say, you can pick up a property, an apartment like this for around 50,000 euros, which is probably 10 to 20 times cheaper than ski resorts in, for example, the Alps. It's been our first time in Bulgaria and we've been absolutely blown away by the place. The food is amazing, the people are amazing, really, really friendly, lovely culture. Everything just seems much more free and open. I've only spotted one chain shop or chain restaurant, and that was a Subway. Everything else seems to be all independently owned, live music on every night in just about every pub. It's just lovely. It's the way things should be. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you're Bulgarian or you live in Bulgaria or you've invested in property in Bulgaria, let us know some of the pros and cons down in the comments below. I would love to know more about the history of places like Bansko and the property kind of boom and bust cycle in places like Bansko. As I say, there's areas that seem to be almost overdeveloped with half-built blocks. What's the story behind all of those? I'd love to know. But as I say, absolutely stunning country. As per usual, folks, be nice to one another, look after each other, and we shall see you next time. Tatty bye.